Kia ora koutou katoa. I've been away being creative most of January, writing another book. And away too from my usual routines, including the reading of newspapers or watching news channels. But inevitably, it seems, the machinations of the self-serving and politically powerful and the resulting chaos and misery they make in the lives of others conspire to disturb and then anger us wherever we are. So it was with me. So Iran, so Minnesota, so Kiev, so Gaza, so the backward steps of our government regarding climate change. So much to lament, so much to despair, so much to repair. Isaiah 58, our Panui Tahi today, is set in the context of the Jewish community exiled in Babylon. Some of the Jewish community exiled in Babylon from 597 BCE. There they plead and seek answers from their God. The book of Zechariah, also set at the same time, says they fasted every 5th and 7th month for 70 years. That's quite some time. Seeking a response, an answer to their troubles. Why us? Why me? So fasting, unlike in our day, has nothing to do with dieting or detoxing or even cleansing the mind. Rather, fasting is an action of prayer. But like how some Christians kneel to pray or wave their hands in the air. Though of course fasting takes a good deal more discipline than kneeling or hand raising. Prayer, at its most basic, is about connecting with God, however you understand God. Even if the prayer is meditative and entails stilling the mind and not trying to think about anything, it is still a way of connecting with God. The author of Isaiah 58, sometimes called 2nd Isaiah, is disturbed and angry. He sees in this fixation of the why us, why me, this question that focuses on one's own woes. He sees in it a deliberate neglect or indifference to the suffering of people less fortunate than themselves. So, daring to speak for God as prophets do, he thunders, "Is this not the fast that I choose? To loose the bonds of injustice, to undo the thongs of the yoke, to let the oppressed go free, and to break every yoke? Is it not to share your bread with the hungry, and bring the homeless poor into your house? When you see the naked, cover them, and not to hide away from your own kin?" The yoke is a reference to animals, yoked together for ploughing or other tasks. And 2nd Isaiah used yoke as a metaphor for oppression. So today we might ask, what yokes keep people poor? Living in substandard houses, toiling long hours for minimal wages. What are the yokes, the systems that entrench and force poverty in certain places, certain families, more prevalent in some cultures, some subcultures than others, a heavier yoke for women than men? And likewise, we might ask, what stops those of us who have enough sharing more of what we have? housing the homeless, clothing the cold, seeing those in need as kin, trying to make a difference and repair the rips in the enveloping and sustaining fabric of a common good. Singer Isaiah, though, doesn't want us to form think tanks or Bible study groups or listen to seminars that will answer those questions. He just wants us to take our focus off ourselves, off our misery in Babylonian captivity, our feelings of being let down by God, and instead turn our focus towards those who are suffering and seek to do something, anything, to alleviate it. This passage, though, is very important in the context of the whole Bible for understanding prayer. Prayer is not just about oneself. It is fundamentally about and for others. Connecting with God is not just something we do in churches or holy sites or on mountaintops. It is fundamentally about helping liberate others by both attending to the causes of oppression and alleviating hardship. To liberate is to pray. To give is to pray. To protest injustice is to pray. To get off our knees or pews and do something for others is to pray. So prayer is an action, a doing word. When the nurse Alex Pretty was killed by U.S. Customs and Border Protection agents in Minneapolis 2 weeks ago for trying to shelter a woman from being beaten by those same government agents, he was, second Isaiah's theology, praying. That's the other thing about prayer as liberating and alleviating. Anyone can do it. You don't have to be Jewish or Christian or Muslim or of any faith at all. Connecting with God, or maybe it's better to think of God connecting with us or enveloping us, is not the preserve of the religious. So God, who is in all and through all, is best praised, worshipped and adored, to use that traditional language, by liberating, alleviating, collaborating with any and all who are being oppressed. The Panui Rua today, Matthew 5:13-16, part of the Sermon on the Mount, is like Isaiah 58, trying to expand our theological thinking. Jesus uses two metaphors, salt and light, to talk about how his followers should be in the world. Note that this is in the context of the Sermon on the Mount, about discipleship, how to be a follower of Jesus in this world right now. There's no sense in the Sermon on the Mount of earth being some sort of training ground for a heavenly afterlife. It's a sermon about how you practice or do Christianity now. Salt. Well, today, due to our excesses, is not beloved by the Heart Foundation. In the past, it was an essential ingredient in food flavouring and preservation. Still is in many parts of the world today. Here, in the Sermon on the Mount, salt is a metaphor for a little affecting a lot. The quantity of salt needed in cooking is minimal, but its effect is significant. I've been away writing volume 2 of Pinches of Wisdom. And this pinches is the baking metaphor, usually referred to salt. It's the idea that the tiniest amount can change the whole. It suggests that a pinch of wisdom, a tiny amount of goodness, is able to bring change for the better. So, followers of Jesus were being encouraged to think of themselves as salt, as bringing wisdom, goodness, and hope to the whole of society, in order to enrich the whole of society. So salt wasn't an us versus them metaphor. The role of salt was not to make everybody, convert everyone to being salt, or to condemn all those who weren't, to give up on them, give up on society, or tell non-believers they were going to hell, or to walk around in black t-shirts with slogans implicitly stating how great disciples of Jesus like the wearers of these t-shirts are, inferring that everyone else isn't. Salt is not a winners versus losers metaphor. Rather, the role of salt was to dissolve, to blend or mix into society in order to promote the values of the common good, or in biblical language, the empire of God. The salt metaphor is about faith and religion being for the good of the whole earth and all its peoples, and in the end, indivisible from it. So in language that fundamentalists might understand, the world is going to hell, Christians are going along with it. You may puzzle about the part in the verse where it talks about salt losing its flavour, becoming useless and being trampled underfoot. Well, you're not alone in your puzzlement. Interpreters puzzle too, because salt doesn't lose its taste. Greek, the language the text was written in, actually does not mean here lose its taste. Literally, at least, it means become stupid. And far be it from me to suggest that some Christians could be stupid. Let's move on from stupidity. Let's move on to light. The metaphor works similarly to salt. This goal is not for everyone to be lights, for then in total brightness we would not be able to see anything at all. Neither is the goal for the followers of Jesus, shining in their brightness, to leave the world and society in its darkness and make their own glowing habitation. Rather, like salt, the faith and practice of Jesus' followers is to add to the whole world, bringing their insights, their illumination, in order that others can see things they otherwise might not have. The light is given freely to all in society for the benefit of all in society. We're not charging anyone for it. Sorry about the pun. And the metaphor doesn't preclude other people of other faiths also adding their light, their salt to the mix. The substance of this light and salt is spelt out in the whole of the Sermon on the Mount. Like the wisdom of not judging, like the wisdom of loving your enemies, like the wisdom maxim that says, where your heart is, your treasure is also. All of it, or at least most of it, is wisdom about building a common good. The phrase common good has a long history in philosophy, from Aristotle and Plato, and in church teaching from the time of Aquinas, 13th century. One definition is the sum total of social conditions that allow people, either as groups or individuals, to reach their fulfillment more fully and more easily. Yet the common good is not merely a utilitarian greatest good for the greatest number, but rather a commitment to injustice that ensures no one is excluded, no one is left behind. The common good also requires active participation from its citizens, it's all in society, who must balance personal freedoms with the needs of the wider community. The common good is a way of talking about what many of the early Jesus communities assumed about the empire of God and their role in making it happen. It wasn't about judging others or excluding others or saying they were better than others. Rather, it was offering the wisdom they had, mixing it with the wisdom and gifts that others brought, in order to build a society where all, especially the vulnerable, could find a home, a community in which to flourish. Blessings to you all this day.